What's going on, boys? My name is Sid, and what if I told you the Bugatti Chiron, the first Bugatti in the Crew 2, wasn't actually the first Bugatti in the Crew 2? In fact, what if I told you that there's been a Bugatti in the Crew 2 since the launch of the game, since the very start, and it's something that isn't even labeled Bugatti? But maybe you'd say, sure, maybe you've already skipped to the end of the video, maybe you're watching the video twice, maybe you actually have eyes in the thumbnail and the blurring hasn't done much, right? But let me explain. First of all, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be going through this tale on a secret Bugatti in the Crew 2. But as I do this, if you want to hear more from me on, in general, just cars, car culture, racing games, and motorsports, I do every single Sunday go through on my podcast, the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things car culture, racing games, and motorsports. Subscribe, get us to 1,000 subscribers, plug over, head over there, subscribe to the podcast. But yes, so, as far as I'm aware, this car right here, the Bugatti Chiron, was the first Bugatti in the Crew 2. Not only this Bugatti, but it also came with a reward car, the Bugatti Chiron Carbon Edition. Now, I do have a video where I want to go through way more in depth on all the Bugattis in the Crew 2, so let me know, because some of them actually have some interesting things. Not like, no, you know, I'm not going to go through all of those in this video today, though. And see, this Chiron started a trend in the Crew 2. This most definitely started a trend, because not only did we see normal Bugattis come into the Crew 2, like, again, a one that was very early into the game, which was the Bugatti Veyron, but we also would see so many edition cars for Bugatti. We got, at one point, there was more edition versions of Bugattis than there was normal version of Bugattis in the game. And at the beginning, that was mostly because of cars like this, the Chiron, and the Veyron. Because these ones didn't only see one Summit car. Each of these saw 2 Summit cars each. The Veyron itself saw one, the Edition 1, which actually is the second rarest Summit car in the game currently. Fun fact. In So French 2, we see the Bugatti Deep Blue Edition, another Veyron, and one of the thickest Summit cars in the game. Like the Veyron, we also, way later, got another edition of the Chiron, joined with the Carbon Edition, which I already talked about, the Icon 1000 reward. We also got the Police Chiron later into the game. And as you can see, that's what we ended up dealing with. What we ended up dealing with was not only would we get a normal version of Bugatti, but we would get, like, basically 2 for each edition version. Well, 2 for each version, we'd get 2 edition versions. Now, as these gifted members come in, I'm also going to mention something I find crazy. I feel not a lot of people know this, but I find this absolutely wild. This here is the Bugatti Divo. This car was its world premiere. Think about that for a minute. Bugatti, the multi-billion-dollar French supercar manufacturer Bugatti, had the Divo, and this car world premiered in the Crew 2. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I don't know how many people know that, because the moment I found out, I was like, huh? But yeah, this was the first time. Imagine spending millions on Imagine spending millions on a supercar. Imagine that. Millions on a supercar. And anyone who bought the Crew 2 could drive it before you did. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. But we also saw the same trend that I just talked about, the Veyron and the Chiron, with 2 edition cars, and these ones are really notable. And then 2 much more popular editions, the old Divo brothers. That is the Bugatti Divo Emerald Edition in the Emerald Coast Summit, which was actually in the Hunt update. So, I believe the most recent Bugatti Summit car we've gotten. And I think it's only ran once as well. This was, at one point, the joint best hypercar in the game. See, there's a massive Bugatti bias because we see a lot more of this, as I will talk about. Because similar to the Emerald Divo, we also saw the Magma Divo way before that. I believe the 5th, something like that, the 5th summit car in the game ever was the Bugatti Magma Divo. And for the longest time, it was the best car in Hypercar. The Hypercar spec, in fact, it's kept that till the Emerald Edition. The Emerald Edition was only slightly better. And speaking of the Divos being the best Bugattis in the spec, well, that doesn't stay the case for very long because Bugatti then flipped the script a little. Not only did they add the Voiture Noir, which was for the very longest time the best hypercar in the spec. It was the best all-around hypercar by far, even beat out the Divo, Emerald, and Magma in cases. This thing also flipped the script in a way where instead of getting 2 edition cars for every Bugatti, we got 2 Bugattis every time we got a Bugatti, because they were doing these like legacy bundle styles, right? So not only would we get the Voiture Noir, which was a new version of, we'd also get our first street Bugatti, the Bugatti Atlantic, which essentially, because those cars were intertwined in the Bugatti lore, we got those together in a little elite bundle that was both of these cars. And fun fact, this is one of the only cars to be right-hand drive in the game. To really skim over it, we see that same thing continue with the 110, which was a new version of the EB110. Which again, on another complete side note, we just recently got another edition Bugatti, the EB110 Anodized Edition, which is pretty fun, but again, both the 110 and the EB110, they didn't really see anything, they didn't bring anything interesting to the game. They were basically just added cars, right? One's a classic, so a lot worse, and the other one was just a pretty okay Bugatti. So, now we come full circle to the most recent base Bugatti, right? So not the edition version, the most recent base Bugatti added to the Crew 2, the 300 Plus. Now, this is, as you boys may already know, the best Bugatti in the spec. It's better than every single car in Hypercar. Still continuing the Bugatti bias in the game. But what if I went from this, the last Bugatti added to the game, to the first Bugatti added to the game, which you don't actually know about? If I told you there's a Bugatti in this game that isn't labeled Bugatti, no one knows it's a Bugatti till recently. But through sheer way of technicality, it's a Bugatti that has been in the game since launch. I say that because Bugatti hasn't been in the game since launch. That was added in an update. Well, that is, you might not believe me, this thing. The Proto Mark II. Hear me out. First of all, I'll go into this, I'll go into customization, and I will go into livery. And you'll see in the latest few liveries, we can find a livery that sort of accentuates this point. And it's this one right here, made by someone in the Discord. It'll be on screen right now. Again, hear me out. I'm not just saying this is a Bugatti by putting a Bugatti livery on it, okay? I'm not that much of an idiot, okay? Okay, maybe I am, but not in this case, right? So I've not just put on a livery and gone, yeah, this is definitely a Bugatti because I've decided it is, and put this livery on it. This car has been in the Crew 2 for a very long time. It was one of the first 2 Alpha GP cars in the spec. We saw the Red Bull RB13 and this thing. They were the only cars you had. We then got the RB14, 15, all of them. Not the 15, sorry, the Disruption, the Mark X, all of those. But this Bugatti right here, the Proto, which my arm is sticking out of. Wait. Thank you, the Crew 2. Nice work. This car is technically a Bugatti. And I'll explain. Because if you didn't know, back in 2020, Bugatti made a Formula 1 concept car. And it's this car right here. Which, let me know if you recognize it from anything. Because this thing, the Bugatti 101P, was a concept car that has the Bugatti badge and everything. Now, again, if I search Bugatti 101P, it's all that shows up is the Sean Bull Bugatti 101p in blue. We've got the normal black design. We've got it even in action. They made one in real life. This thing is a F1 car. Shout out to Car News here for the video on it. What I think has happened here, hear me out. I don't know. I actually don't know what has happened here. I kind of would want to talk to someone at Ivory Tower. I might do that. I might talk to someone at Ivory Tower about this. Because I don't know what's happening here. Because if you didn't know, The Crew 2 released in 2018. If you... Now, don't get... Whoa. Have I done that? Now, I don't know if you know maths, but 2018 was 2 years before 2020. So, I actually... Well, I don't even know. So, here's what I think happened here. One, I actually have no idea. I'd love to talk to Ivory Tower, like I've said. But, honestly, I wonder if it was part of a deal of some kind. I assume the guy who made the license for this car, whoever made the license, because I don't believe they ever said in the end, either someone at Ivory Tower made it, which, one, I guess that would be pretty cool if you made it in, like, if you made it for a video game and then Bugatti actually used it. Two, well, I don't know. I guess the guy who actually designed this car, they must have bought it off of him, and then Bugatti also bought it off of him, and then made it a real F1 car. So technically speaking, this is... by all accounts, again, it has a name and everything. It's the Bugatti 101p. This car is not only the secret Bugatti in The Crew 2, but it is actually the first Bugatti in the game. As well as, well, it's the only Bugatti to be in the game from launch. And if you skip to this point in the video to just see what the secret Bugatti was, subscribe. And go back and watch the rest of the video. Subscribe with notifications on. Head down there. Click them. Click it. Subscribe. You skipped. I gotcha. Yeah. You've been caught. You've been caught. Okay. Go back and subscribe. Okay. And check out the podcast. I plugged that, but you skipped over it. You muppet. You skipped over me plugging the podcast. Well done. Okay. It's in the description. I'm not even gonna stress about it. You go check it. Thank you to popular members, especially thanks to famous members, and an insane thank you to star members Danimal the Manimal, TK Troller, and Tim the Fat Man. That's about it for that video, boys.